Welcome to the Cosmic Echoes, Encounters of the Curious Kind, with me, Michelle Cheyne, and my co-host, Sue Brayne, our cosmic visionary.
Ronnie, I think, is the right description.
Yes. Sue, there's a lot going on at the moment, and past and present and future. What's going on?
I wonder if everybody else is feeling the energy. I don't often feel the build up. I'm not very sensitive to energies,
Oh,
but
that's interesting.
not massively. And
Yeah.
people go, "Oh, I feel this, that, and the full when the moons come around." I don't normally feel it, but my goodness me, I'm feeling something, and I think it's because it's eclipse season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to just run through. April is a huge month, and it's something that we need to be aware of because we've got the eclipse happening earlier on, and also then at the end of the month we've got this massive Jupiter Uranus conjunction, which lots and lots of people are talking about. So I'll run you through that as well. And then actually we're quite fun. The following month when we meet, we'll actually talk about what may have happened. Who knows?
Well, you see, and this is what's so magical for me. I feel the energies a lot, especially, I used to always just focus on the full moon because that's always the thing that everybody used to talk about, can you feel the moon? And yet there's so much more almost in the new moon and the other stages. And to have the awareness of what's going on and not going, am I going crazy is very helpful.
That's the one, isn't it? Because you're not going crazy.
Yeah,
All you're doing is you're feeling the energy of the cosmos working with your own astrological matrix, if you like.
that's
So
it.
some people will be feeling it much more acutely because the eclipse season will be firing up something in their chart, and other people won't be. And it's doing nothing in my chart, but I'm still feeling it. So there is this sense of a more of intense energy. But I think just globally, all of us are much more acutely aware that stuff is happening out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's manifesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
In
Oh
in the
gosh.
real world, or
Yeah.
real world.
In the macrocosm, and it's
Yeah.
also in the microcosm
Exactly.
and us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We make up the collective, each one of us individually. We create
Exactly.
the collective. So
Mm.
yes, we have to, and I'm going to talk about that as well.
Okay.
Let's kick off. Well, the big thing is we've gone into spring. Hurrah!
Okay.
Thursday, the 21st of March.
Mm.
And actually, we're actually recording this on the 22nd of March, aren't
Yeah.
we? So I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
Equal hours all over the world at the moment, which just blows my mind, especially when we've been living in the winter. And
Yeah.
now, glory be, we can welcome back the light. So I think that's another really strong energy that we don't often recognize, but it is this sense of growth,
Yeah.
spring,
Yeah.
Aries energy. So happy birthday to all Aries, because this is your month. Yes, and it's also going to be quite a ride for Aries, or anybody who's got particularly Aries rising, if you know your chart, because this is eclipse season, as we know. And I think it's important to the eclipse season happens twice a year.
Yeah.
We're in the second part of, we're in the first part of 24 eclipse season. I think it's really good to understand that the energy of the eclipse is kind of exaggerate energy. It's kind of like they're regarded as potentially life-changing energy patterns.
Mm.
So for some people, that might be really relevant, and other people, it might not be quite so relevant. Again, depending if the eclipse goes bang on one of your planets, particularly your personal planets. So, yes. So in the old days, I think it's because the word eclipse, either the moon was being eclipsed by the passage of the earth,
Mm.
blocking it from the sun,
Yeah.
or the moon was eclipsing the sun, kind of blocking out its light. Although temporarily, so there is this element of the word eclipse, which is
Yeah.
important, things being eclipsed. And in the old days, they were kind of, because they didn't really understand what was going on, they were kind of sort of often regarded with a bit of dread and sort of like, oh my God, dangerous portents, perhaps foretelling the death of a king, queen, who knows? But it was always around that. But also perhaps a warning about catastrophic droughts or floods, or maybe war to do with the community. So really astrology was used much more to do with how to protect the community in those days than we use it much more as our individual understanding of ourselves. There's been a massive shift over the centuries to do with that. So, and I think it's just, we look at eclipse now with a little bit more of a healthy respect
Yeah.
of what might happen, rather than thinking, oh my God, it's the end of the world.
Yeah,
So
and also awareness, so that
yeah,
we actually know what's going on physically in the universe, where back then it was scary, fear,
well,
unknown.
suddenly one day, the
Yeah.
light of the sun went out,
Yeah.
big black disc.
Yeah.
What? Imagine.
Yeah. In a world where you gave your power away to gods and you know others ruling
Yeah,
your mission in life, your soul.
angry. They've turned the lights off. I mean, imagine what it must
Yeah.
be for them.
Yeah.
I have experienced a full moon eclipse
Yeah.
where I have, when the moon has gone right across the sun, and then you just see this glow around.
Wow.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
It does bring the awe back into life, and I'm up for that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we can't control the movements of the heavens, can we? Thank goodness.
No. And we need to realize that we are part of this universe. So
Yeah.
that movement does influence us. We're not a bunch of crazy moon
Yeah.
ladies or anything like that. It's just how the world works.
Well, we started. We're starting the 24 season with a lunar eclipse. That's a full moon eclipse on March the 25th, and it's at 5 degrees Libra for anyone who knows their chart. And Libra is about relationships, about fairness, it's about justice. It's represented by the scales,
Mm.
and it wants to create harmony and balance. What Libra hates is any form of upset. So it'll go to extreme lengths to keep the peace. It might not be very good at making decisions because it's very frightened of upsetting that person. And then, oh God, if I say that, I'm going to upset that person. So Libra's work is all about how to create a more balance in and harmony in relationships. But a full moon is about completion. Something's done. There's a feeling I'm done. And there perhaps you're going to be invited to look at how perhaps you always putting other people's first, always appeasing other people. And maybe you think, you know what? I'm done with that.
Yeah.
That kind of feeling for it. Or you realize perhaps that a relationship's run its course, and however sad for you, you know, there's nothing left really, you know, the tanks are dry. So maybe there is a sense of, oh gosh, I got to make a decision about this. And so it's really is, this eclipse is about right relationship. What does that mean to you? Are you in right relationship with yourself, with your relationship that you're having, and with anybody else that comes into your life? What does right relationship mean to you? And that's the emphasis, I would say, of this particular eclipse. Big stuff.
Yeah.
Relationships, big stuff, because it's all about love. Now, what I found really interesting is that this sense of it's done may have been playing out since the new moon eclipse took place in Aries on April the 20th, 23, because Aries is the other end of the axis between. So you've got Libra up here, Aries down here, and everything works as a balance. That's what astrology is. It's about oppositions, working with oppositions, bringing them together. Aries, I want to do it on my own. I want to get out there. and Libra is, I want to have a relationship.
Well, it's that fire, the Aryan fire, and Libra is earthy, isn't it? So
Libra is air.
it's
Yeah,
air. Ah, okay, blowing,
ruled by
sometimes blowing.
Venus. And
Mm.
of course, Aries is ruled by Mars. So something may have opened up, for example, a new awareness of who you are, Aries. Perhaps you weren't ready to act, Libra. And then there was another reminder of this during the new moon eclipse in Libra in October 23. And again, this is it fires off the Libra Aries axis. So again, we're looking at me, us. How's that playing out in my life? So this has been set up for a while. And kind of here, here we are again. So the new moon actually in October was very much so what, were you thinking, God, what do I need to give up to sort of move forward in my life, to create a new path for myself? And now here we are again with the full moon eclipse in Libra saying, okay, you're done. So let's see what's happening in your life and how this is a prelude to the very full, powerful new moon eclipse happening on the 8th of April in Aries again. Wow. So all this year, all this last year and the beginning of this year, we're having these very powerful reminders for us, these eclipses on either the Aries point or the opposition of Libra point. Relationships are being really, really focused in on. Relationship with yourself, relationship with others. That makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to come back to this eclipse happening on the 8th of April in a sec. So just to very quickly, Mercury goes retrograde on the 1st of April. Just be aware that delays might take place or around travel or decision makings, and sometimes it isn't the best time to make agreements with people or set things up. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't really buy into all of this Mercury. I just get on with my life, and if a delay happens, I just kind of go, well, whatever.
For me, it's very tech related, so things would go a bit like over, and I've been feeling this Mercury. I think there's something about a shadow. It goes into the shadow. Anyway, I've been feeling Mercury retrograde happenings this week already, with technology overlapping, like Alexa would be talking to herself while talking to me, or these weirdest things, or playing a podcast and there's two of them playing at the same time on Spotify, and I can't, there's like it's almost a lack of control over communication.
That's the trickster, isn't it? The Mercury.
Very much. Yeah.
I mean, I think we need to sort of really understand that we are surrounded by technology. We have made our lives so techo that Mercury's just going, oh, let's go and have fun with this then. I mean, before all of this happened, you probably would never even realize that Mercury was.
No, because our lives are so intertwined.
Yeah.
And I love I was telling someone yesterday, my dream for education would be if our children can learn astrology and mythology at school. They don't need to learn anything else. They could just learn those two things. And I think they would be set much better than they are at the moment, because there's that Mercurius, in myth, that trickster that comes around when Mercury does its thing. I think Mercury's also been moving around, was it this week, into Pisces. See, I get it sometimes on the end tail of things, but there's very much a trickster energy for me at the moment, which might fizzle out or might come, very strongly in on the 1st of April when it actually does go into retrograde.
Yes. Well, just notice, I mean, I've had fun with this. I mean, I know people that will say, right, I'm not going out, I'm not going to go into the car, I'm going to lock myself in, and it's terrible time. And I just think that's creating drama around something unnecessarily. Just see what happens. I mean, just be cautious. Trust your instincts. Trust your intuition. That's what the most important thing is, not necessarily whether a planet's retrograde or not.
No, and I think that's the
Is aware.
yeah, if we have this idea that the universe is conspiring in my best interest, then we can play with it more.
Yes.
Not this doom element
Yes.
of what's
Exactly.
going to happen to me. So if the computer is acting up, put the computer off and go outside or whatever you need to do.
And also, the computer acts up when when Mercury is going direct. So it might act. I don't know. I mean, I'm like that about it all. And other people take it really seriously, and I respect that.
Do you think it influences you? Obviously, it does influence you, but it differently as to where the planets are on your charts.
Yes, yes. I mean, if Mercury is going retrograde, it means it's going back in time to have a look at something again. And Mercury is about the mind, it's about the intellect, it's also the trickster. And Mercury is also the messenger of the gods. I think that people forget that. So Mercury has this ability to zip around, and it's got very frenetic energy. Yes, it's what do you need to be reminded of? I think that's a higher and more interesting way of looking at Mercury retrograde rather than being fearful of it. So what do I need to know? What do I need to remember? What haven't I quite got straight in my head? And so that's the higher understanding of Mercury retrograde.
It's that I'm fascinated by the spiral at the moment again, still, but it's that coming back to it and completing the circle, maybe.
It's sort of any planet that goes retrograde is a revisit. It's let's just go over this one more time, just to make sure you've got it.
Yeah.
It's that vibe.
Yeah.
Especially the personal planets, And the sun and the moon never go retrograde, but all of the rest of them do. Yeah. So yes, just and have a laugh with it. I mean, Mercury likes to have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, which I find really interesting this month, is Chiron, wounded healer, is conjunct the North Node and Mercury in Aries. So yes, until May 24. So Mercury is going to be going kind of over the whole concept of what Chiron is about, the wounded healer, and Aries is about who am I? So the Chiron wound in Aries is I don't know who I am. I think this is really important, and I think and the North Node is about destiny. It's about collective destiny and personal destiny. So, and I think when we just remind people that we create the collective. That's our responsibility. So I would say this is a time of calling us to do our healing individually and collectively around our identity of who we are. Do you know who you are? Or do you need to do some work on this? Do you need to break family expectations around who they think you should be? Or do you put a mask on to pretend you're somebody that you're not? Do you have imposter syndrome? So when you own yourself, when you own your Aries, when you own that sort of lovely energy, that sort of feisty energy, it's not destructive. It gives you that sort of momentous, because I know who I am. I'm safe in here.
Yeah.
So this is what we're being confronted with at the moment, and it's playing out in all sorts of weird ways at the moment, as we know across the world. Identity is very important in lots of people's countries at the moment.
Yeah.
So
and it's being tested. Are you sure? Is this really who you are? Yeah.
And Aries, war. Yeah.
I have Aries ascendant, and my daughter is got Aries sun. Um,
Right.
so there's a lot of fire. There's a
That's
lot of,
fiery. Yeah.
yeah. Mm,
Mars is the god of war. It's always worth
mm,
remembering that. And Mars rules Aries. So that's, I think, why everything is being chucked in our faces about, I don't want to go into politics, but
mm,
about what is happening across the world at the moment. So, and we
mm.
are being called to pay attention to own ourselves, own our own belief systems, what's okay for us and what isn't,
Yeah, yeah,
without getting pulled into the mire of it or.
yeah,
So, and I think that therefore it's really important to take responsibility for what thoughts we're contributing to the collective. And we've just been saying that, the collective is full of dread and fear at the moment. So,
mm,
kind of let's invest thoughts in empowering.
yeah, yeah.
Hard, isn't it? But it is hard, but I think that's our job.
It
So
is, and it makes it easier if we understand what's going on in the universe and the planets and, the bigger picture. So it doesn't become just about me, but it becomes about my place within this,
yes.
yeah, bigger picture.
I mean, we can't change what's happening in the world. It's going to play out. It is.
Mm,
Can change how we react or respond to it
yeah.
individually. And and as I said, Mercury's the messenger of the gods. So,
Mm,
let's make good use of it. Let's send him up to the gods and ask for a bit of help.
yeah, yeah.
So, moving on to April the 8th.
Mm,
This is the new moon solar eclipse, exactly conjunct Chiron
mm,
at
mm,
19 degrees Aries. The new moon is when the sun and moon come together to make a junction. And the eclipses are especially powerful because as I said, they're often regarded as manifesting life-changing energies. And it's right smack in our faces on Chiron, the wounded healer. So it really is about taking responsibility for what isn't working in your life.
mm.
Who
Could it
am I?
could it also be bringing your healing to the the collective, you know?
100%, because the more we do our healing, the more we own who we are, the more we're able to show up in the collective.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not pretending to be somebody else, or we're not, when you're feeling, I mean, I went through when I was younger, I had no idea who I was. I was so fearful of everything, and I
Mm,
behaved really badly to cover that up.
yeah,
It's that kind of thing.
yeah.
So Aries can be very feisty.
Mm,
It can be very disruptive. So it's about owning that.
yeah.
And, I just urge everyone at the moment to ask these questions. Who am I? Am I wearing a label on my forehead? Or am I really showing up as who I really am and doing what I've come here to do?
Mm. Not getting sidetracked by the
Right.
fear or the whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So it's about when it's a new moon, it's about when you may feel an urge to do things differently. You may want to create a new theme or path in your life. So all the questions are about what are you willing to give up to move forward in your healing journey?
Mm,
What isn't working for you right now, and what's going on in your head and in your imagination. So yes, Chiron is that wounded healer. It's the vulnerable part of who we are, which
mm,
needs loving care. So this is about developing compassion for ourselves and others as we surge, which is Aries, surge forward.
mm.
Okay.
So it is a turning point, new moon and eclipse together, conjunct means stronger, amplified. So it is big. We can feel
Yeah,
this big
absolutely.
time. Yeah.
100%. It's a whammy.
Mm,
Yeah. So because we've got Libra, do you remember I've been talking about the
yeah.
Libra Aries axis, opposite Aries.
Mm,
So Libra is opposite. So the new moon is happening in Aries, which is opposing Libra.
yeah.
Okay. Um, themes around childhood pain and vulnerability may play out in present relationships. Libra is about our relationships. Aries is about me. Okay. So it's sort of thinking about, are you wanting to step into who you really are in a relationship rather than placating people all the time? Or maybe you feel like you've got to be, you're fighting to be heard or wanting to be heard more, or you need to revisit relationships kind of like as a battleground one more time. Aries, battle, war, and just to know that this is not the way to bring love into your life. Battleground is not a way to love. And I think, so it's just being aware of knee-jerk behavior patterns or beliefs that might surface around this. And most important, this is pokey time, Aries, pokey time. So keep yourself safe if you find yourself in a volatile situation. Really important. Just keep yourself safe. Understand that. Yeah.
And that could be turning within, you know, that quiet, finding the safety within yourself, not locking yourself away at home and not communicating with anybody. That's not necessarily the solution.
Or leaving a very volatile relationship.
Yeah.
It's about, how am I safe? Who am I? What do I need within this relationship? Are I being controlled by somebody who's very volatile?
Yeah.
It may bring up, these are all the potentials, because everything's got potentials, lots and lots of different ways of looking at that, like that. But that's what came for me very strongly when I was looking at this. So all of that's happening on the 8th of April. We've got lots happening this month, as I've said, but the biggie is this long-awaited Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And now, currently, the day that we're recording this, Jupiter's, I think, like 5 degrees from Uranus, so we're feeling it. We're all
wow.
And
this is the great conjunction that you mentioned in your talk, that I'll put the link on as well. This isn't just a little bit big. This is very, very big.
This is what there are various aspects that astrologers wait for. See it coming, obviously, because you've got an ephemeris, so you can see these things coming for years. Predicting the COVID years before it happened, something big's going to happen, and big it did. And they're doing the same with this conjunction. They this is big stuff. So it's in Taurus. Like Taurus is fixed earth sign. Taurus doesn't like surprises. It likes being in its little paddy field, munching its grass with its cows. And it doesn't really want to leave that. Thanks very much. Very happy there. Just don't annoy it. Cross, but more often than not, it's fixed. It doesn't like change. It wants safety, and it likes its traditions. Fixed. So it's very attached to what it has. It's very attached to possessions and building lovely houses. It's ruled by Venus, so it's all about lovely things like food, all that kind of stuff. I love Taurians. They're just gorgeous. We need that Taurian energy. Kind of just take life easy, really. But the thing is, Uranus just loves flying by the seat of its pants. It loves making disruptions. It loves just being totally rebellious and out there and ridiculous. And then it's making this conjunction with Jupiter, which is the king of the gods, expanding it, saying, "Go, my child, let's go for it." So you've got this incredibly difficult one. The planetary energy is going, right, let's, we're just going to explode everything. And Taurus is going, no, don't want that in my back garden, thank you. So it's really interesting how it's going to play out. So Taurus, it represents the earth. So we've had these massive volcanic eruptions in Iceland. Lots of astrologers are expecting a lot more. Earthquakes, eruptions, earth. something to do with growing crops, growing things, seasons, whatever it is. Taurus is all about earth, but because it's ruled by Venus, it's also about money, possessions, income. So if there's going to be disruption, and Uranus loves to shock. So if there is kind of shocks going on there, there could be shocks to the financial situation. It could be an explosion in cryptocurrency. I mean, because that's very futuristic, and Uranus is all about being futuristic. We don't know what's going to happen. It could be about food distribution. Something along those lines, but it's going to be exaggerated because Jupiter's on board having fun at a party with Uranus. They're hanging out together,
drinking tequila,
drinking tequila, whatever, having a good time. So we're gonna.
We don't know though, so it might not even be something that's in the possibility list. Yeah.
Well, it will be sudden. It will be a shock or a surprise, or didn't see that one coming. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. And people with opposite Taurus is Scorpio. That's the Taurus Scorpio axis. And it's always to do with either your own money, that's Taurus, you own, and Scorpio is other people's money. So this could affect international monetary, whatever they are. So we don't know. We have no idea what's going to happen. I can't remember who I was listening to, but somebody was saying, I was having a conversation with somebody anyway, that if you have, I'm not going to predict this, but if you did have this happening in your 8th house of other people's money, be very, very cautious, obviously, that somebody isn't going to let you down, or you're not going to, what you're expecting to get doesn't happen, or suddenly something that you didn't expect does happen to do with other people's resources. But it's possible that this would be the most, a possibility of a higher rate of success if you bought a lottery ticket. Sudden, in 8th house, other people's money. Now, this is, I mean, just see if again, put a quid on it and see. It is for everyone, and it's probably, it's again, it's so, a lottery is so out there, isn't it? I mean, God,
I was listening to you and Steve Judd talk about money and the difference between luck and fortune and all of that. So that's very much a luck thing, isn't it? With the lottery.
So just see what happens. You can, it's really important to understand that I'm not telling everybody to go and do this. Just see where it's in your chart, and if it's in the houses of money, who knows? You might have a slightly higher chance. Against an impossible odds. And if you do, let us know.
Yes, please.
And put a quid on. I'm not talking about life savings.
No.
Bit of fun with it.
You only need one ticket.
You only need one winner.
Yeah.
So it's got that kind of energy to it. You might have a lucky win. You might not. It might not be the lottery. It might be something completely different. But it's got that kind of, there's another aspect to volcanoes blowing up. You may have a lucky win. Who knows? I think that's what's so lovely about astrology. We can't foretell what will happen because the potential is so huge.
And how conscious we are, like how connected we are with our consciousness, I think helps us go, that's not my possibility, that might be more mine, which makes us a participant within this process, where astrology gives us the the bigger picture, you know, the outline, the surrounding framework.
Yes, yes. So, you know, another way of looking at it, Matt, you might get a sudden inheritance you weren't expecting, other people's money. You just
Without losing anybody dear to you, hopefully.
whatever. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I got a windfall from this is a while ago from an insurance policy I'd taken out when I was 21. I'd completely forgotten about it. They traced me
Wow.
and it was 8 grand. And it was thank you very much.
Wow.
You just don't know.
Yeah,
Don't know. So
yeah.
just be aware. This is the financial axis it's playing out on.
And
So
that's exciting because that brings you back to that. If you define the possibilities, then you lose out on the others that you don't think about.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's that. I mean, there's lots of stuff happening in April, but we'd be here for a year. So let's not do that. We've only got a few more minutes left. So
Yeah.
that's the main stuff.
Yeah. Sure. So it is fair enough to think that you are feeling things going on, and there's main themes for me in that is relationship with self and others, communication, you know, that war, Mars energy,
Yeah,
Aries, possibly don't get into a fight, rather rather think about what the
careful.
disagreement point is and communicate.
Yeah, just be careful. Definitely be careful around that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Be cautious.
Yeah.
There's a difference between being aggressive and being assertive.
Mm.
And maybe that's
Yeah.
something we all need to learn, actually.
Yeah, and that's a very good point.
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep us much longer because I know we've gone over time, but that's for me the difference between wisdom, you know, that inner wisdom and connecting to the wisdom of, you know, understanding what's going on around us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sue, thank you for your insights and wisdom. I think you have grounded me a lot more in this time. I feel it's a lot. I feel most of the energies of what's going on. So for me to understand that it's not me is great.
It's both. It's both.
Yeah,
You within the microcosm of the macrocosm.
that's it. That's it. Thank you. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah.